Hi everyone, and Happy New Year. I know I should probably be saying that on the 1st of April, but here we are. Maybe in my lifetime we'll see that return and the 13 months restored with 28 days in each and Sol being put back in place. Be interesting actually because a lot of star signs will shift too. So that'll be fascinating to see that how that plays out. Should it be put back? I thought I would just take a few minutes to thank you all. I would like to thank everybody that buys my books, first and foremost, because it is you that finance my research. Without people buying my books, I wouldn't be able to continue to do this anywhere near to the extent that I do. Most of you probably know that I worked with vulnerable kids for a long time, and I was a tattoo artist for many, many years. I used to write for magazines, and I was also on a TV show that morphed into something called Tattoo Fixers. And tattooing was something I thought I would always do. But what I typically did, if someone was in for a day session, I would sit them down and subject them to bit shoot and take them down every rabbit hole I could. Some people left being slightly more woken than they were when they arrived, and other people probably decided they were never coming back. But when I started actually putting all my notes together, which enabled me to write my first book, Tezza and the Cabbage Patch Kids, I had no idea that it would sell to the extent it has, let alone seeing it published in Polish, Japanese, and German now. And of course, the amazing team at Iconic, which is headed up by Jamie and Gareth Ike, and obviously David's in there as well on a regular basis. For them to be turning my first book into what will now be a series of 8 documentaries is something in my wildest dreams I never thought would happen. So I would like to thank everybody that has supported me by going out there, buying one of my books, and reading it. And the great thing about physical books, of course, is that you can pass them on. You know, they're not like an ebook. You can share them with other people. And I myself, I buy dozens of second-hand books, some of them extremely old and quite rare. They have so much life within them. And what do we do if one day they turn everything off? If we wake up one morning and there's some another cyber attack or World War III suddenly happens and they switch it all off, we'll have nothing to read. Our photographs that we never printed are gone. The music has gone too. We've got to really go back to analog, I think, and perhaps spend a little bit less time staring at a screen. The amount of people now wearing glasses is absolutely incredible compared to when I was a kid. I had one lad in my class that wore glasses, and now your average school, it's tenfold. So I don't think we should be staring at screens as much as we do. And one of the saddest things that I hear is when people say they don't have time to read, but you have time to scroll. I don't understand what's going on. If you've got time for social media, you've got time for other things, and I think that we need to do that, and not just with reading. Obviously, I'm biased, but also with what we eat. You know, the time that we'll sit and wait for a delivery driver to turn up with some heavily processed crap, we could have made something ourselves. And yes, I know that eating right is more expensive, but the nutritional value is higher. You don't need as much of it, and you'll be healthier as a result. So it's win-win. So I think we've got to look at the older ways of doing things and perhaps the odd board game, you know, turn the TV off at night and maybe get Monopoly out or whatever, or Scrabble. You know, there's no reason why we can't do this. And I think that is ultimately where we might find ourselves anyway. So if we wake up one morning and it's all turned off, what do we do? Social media gone, our photos disappeared, the cloud no longer there, our music gone. I think we've really got to look at actually ownership now. One of the other things that concerns me, and you know, my books are on Kindle. So I have skin in the game, so to speak. But I often wonder if what people are reading 6 months after I submitted the manuscript is actually what I wrote. I've got no way of knowing that unless I regularly check. So I think that we have got to go back to the old ways now, in how we live and how we eat as well, and spend a little bit more time together. Since 2020, so many people remote work, and we're losing that connection, and that's a problem. Where I live, I'm on a farm in the middle of nowhere, and I can go for 24, 48 hours even without actually seeing somebody, physically seeing somebody, apart from maybe a delivery driver or the postman. It's not how we're supposed to live. And I think we're being pushed that way. The 15-minute cities, should they happen, and I can't see that actually unfolding fully, that would be cramming us into confined areas, but at the same time isolating us, where we won't even speak to next door. Yet we won't be able to have that freedom to just jump in the car or walk to see a friend. I grew up in a different time where if you wanted to speak to someone, you went and knocked on their door. You were occasionally allowed to use the phone, but there would always be someone watching you to make sure you weren't on there too long and criticizing you if it lasted more than a minute. So I think that we've got to spend more time together. I think we need boots on the ground as well. I'm going to do a bit more traveling this coming year. We're going to Paris, to look at the Vatican and Notre Dame and the Eiffel Tower in particular. Yes, there are lots of other places we're going to see, but for me, the catacombs is very important. 6 million skeletons. Check the population figures. There were never 6 million people in Paris up to that point. 6 million people hadn't lived in Paris or the surrounding areas. These are Tartarian. These are the old civilization, the old world, put on display as a warning. And I want to get in there. I've also found out recently that you don't necessarily have to go in through the traditional entrance. There are manhole covers all around the area where you can still get in and see areas that are actually sectioned off from the public. So we're going to Paris in February, and then in October we are over to America. So if there are anyone watching, any people watching this from across the pond, and you would like me to do a talk in your area or a book signing, then get in touch, because we're going to be traveling from state to state, and we'll keep you updated on that nearer the time. But please feel free to get in touch if you'd like to arrange a talk or a meeting, or if there's a particular building you would like to look at and would like me to come along with you, and we can see if we can get a group together. So that's what I plan for this coming year. I'm so pleased with how well my books have done over the last 12 months, and of course my latest one, Conspiracy Theories from Agartha to Zombies, was published at the beginning of December, and is already ranked number 1 on Amazon with the UFO and occultism categories, and I can't thank you all enough for doing that, for getting me there. 2025 also had some weird, what clearly appear to be psyop events. Perhaps Charlie Kirk will be remembered as one of the most significant. None of us really know what went on there. Everybody's got their theories on it. Was it ritualistic? Was he actually assassinated at all? We don't know. We're not high up enough on the pyramid of power to know the truth, but we all have our suspicions. And one thing's for certain, it isn't what we were told. Then, of course, the Bondi Beach shootings. That appears to be an attack against religion once again. For many years, it's been used as a weapon that divides and conquers, and it's brought bloodshed and millions of deaths as a direct result. And I believe that this is where the Tony Blair, or the Antichrist as I prefer to call him, where his One World Faith organization rears its ugly head. I think he's going to present himself as the savior, that he has the answer. I think they're going to end religion as we know it because of the problems that it's causing, that they themselves are actually orchestrating, and that he will be seen as the solution. Of course, the man is sat behind digital ID too and was a huge voice in the pandemic. For me, Tony Blair is a little bit like herpes. You think he's gone away, and then he reappears. Now, most former world leaders, once their term in office is over, we don't hear from them again. They disappear into the background. He's the only one. Look into it. He is the only person that is still very much in control, very much in the foreground. We need to expose this man. We need to do the same with chemtrails too. We need to find out who it is in our area that is actually responsible for those planes. Who's flying them? I know some are drones. Who owns the company? Who works there? Let's name and shame. And if you happen to own a pub or a shop or a business where a member of staff at one of these places works and they come in, don't serve them. They're not welcome. I think that's the only way we're going to stop it. We need to actually start pointing fingers. We do it all the time with Keir Starmer and, Charles and the monarchy. We're always pointing fingers. But let's actually find out who is out there doing this. We know who pulls the strings. Let's have a closer look at who's actually responsible, who's flying these. We've got a fake cost of living crisis, a fake housing shortage as well going on. Let's name and shame. Let's find out who is responsible. We can't obviously get the people sat at the very top to take responsibility, but we can find out who is the housing officer at our local council and name and shame them. That they are playing the game, that they are making people's lives unnecessarily hard. I think that that's what we've got to do now. And policing, we're old enough and wise enough to know the difference between right and wrong. We know what we can and can't do. We don't need to be constantly hit over the head by someone wearing a uniform that is designed to instill fear. They have no authority unless we give it to them. And last year we saw over 4,000 arrests in the UK alone for what people had said online. Now, a friend of mine runs a YouTube channel called the Belfast Bapcast, and he was arrested, I think at 4:20 in the morning. He filmed the whole thing on CCTV. 3 armed officers and 1 pepper sprayed him. He didn't resist. He complied fully, and they arrested him for something he had said online. This is at a time when they don't have enough people to actually go out there and address real crime. So my advice would be, if you're ever faced with that problem where there's a knock at the door and you are being arrested for something you have said or shared or retweeted, ask them a question. What wasn't prioritized for you to get here? How many crimes were reported within the last 24 hours that would be considered to be serious that you have not attended? And who sent you here? The name of the person that sent you here. You're a public servant, so you will answer my questions and you will provide me with that information, or this conversation ends. I want to know why this was deemed more important than a violent attack or a theft, or even worse. So let's start actually pointing the finger at individuals, because to fight the system is pointless. We need to actually target the people that enforce it and make them question what they're doing and why. And I believe when it comes to war, if the people on the ground knew who they were really fighting and why, and actually who they were fighting for, they probably would never sign up. So let's start pointing the finger at people. I mean, over here, it's fantastic to see the protests that are taking place. Digital ID is one of them. Of course, a lot of people don't realise that it's actually social credit scoring that this is leading to. They're seeing it as an invasion of privacy, which of course it is. And we know that they already monitor everything. But to take to the streets, regardless of why, whether it's because you know what's actually coming or you just see it as an invasion of privacy, it's wonderful to see this. And it won't take much I know the police are aggravating a lot of these situations, but it won't take much for those protests to actually become a lot more than that. We saw it here in England during the poll tax rights, which is now council tax, the tax we pay to local authorities. We saw it here. I remember being in Camden just after in London and seeing burnt buildings. Um, we're very close to actually losing it and or losing our shit, for want of a better expression. You know, civil unrest. I know they want it, but I don't think they have any idea of how pissed off people are getting. And it doesn't matter how many people they stick in a uniform, they will not be able to control it. Iran had a protest, I believe, yesterday over the cost of living and housing shortage, which is all manufactured. We know the French are the first to get up and protest and riot when things implemented they don't agree with. The problem with the British in particular is that we like to complain, but we don't actually that often do anything about it. And with regard to digital ID, you know, there are a lot of businesses out there already that are refusing to take cash. Don't go there. Don't buy from there. That's the answer. Yes, you might not be able to get that particular coffee today. So what? It doesn't matter in the scheme of things. Who gives a shit? What we've got to do is boycott these establishments. If the people that own these companies wake up one morning and realize that they are not going to be earning the sort of money they were last year because people are boycotting them because of their stance to refuse to take cash anymore, that's going to hit them where it hurts the most. You might have to travel a bit further. It's a small price to pay. So I think that that's what we've got to do now. We've got to look to ourselves as being the solution. We can't keep waiting for somebody to come along and fix everything for us. We have to deal with this ourselves. We've got to understand and know our true power and authority, and that no one stands above us. No one has authority over us. No one can tell us what to do unless we allow them to. Now, I know obviously employers tell us what to do, but that's in exchange for money. That doesn't give anybody else the right to. Even my mum gave up years ago telling me what I shouldn't do, and I think my wife's thrown the towel in too. 2026 is going to be an interesting year. We have obviously the possibility of the Marburg virus, another fake pandemic, hitting us perhaps, as some people suggest, in spring. I put a blog up on my website about that. So if you haven't read it yet, jump on it and take a look. The information was given to me by someone who knows exactly what's going on, and they paid the price for getting information out there too. Every day, more people wake up. I've learnt the hard way not to encourage it, but just to be there when they do. I've lost a lot of friends. I've been banned. I was banned from Twitter. I was banned from Facebook. I'm only now finally monetized on YouTube. I've had an ongoing battle with them over my views and my content. I'm shadow banned on Facebook now. I've got 15,000 followers, and very few actually get to see what I put out there. So I'm grateful for my group, Tesla and the Cabbage Patch Kids, on Facebook, because at least other people are able to get the information out there without it being necessarily attached to my account. So I'm very grateful for everybody that is sharing this information through the group and hitting a wider audience than I'm able to. It's going to be an interesting year ahead. It's going to be a bumpy ride. I think we're going to continue to lose a lot of loved ones along the way as cancer just continues to increase to proportions we've never seen before, and we all know why. And I think we're going to see a lot of people that decide that they can't carry on anymore. Mental health is perhaps the biggest pandemic of them all right now. It's something that I've battled with myself over the years. And I think things are going to get a lot worse before they get better. But I suppose, to reiterate what I've been saying, that the solution comes from within. It's now time to stop waiting for someone to save us and to save ourselves, to look within and to just stand up and say, I'm done. I'm not taking any more of this shit. If you want to fine me for this or punish me for that, I'm not playing. I'm not playing. Look into the straw man and how that works. Understand our autonomy. We're sovereign. No one has any authority or power above us unless we decide to give it to them. I'm saying that because my wife isn't here at the moment. But I think that that's the solution. Now we've got to look within and we've got to stop fighting. We argue over differences of opinion. Are we on a spinning ball? Is the earth flat? Well, we'll find out one day. For now, we'll just have a difference of opinion. Is the Bible true? Is everything that's written in that Bible true? Maybe, maybe not. One day, hopefully, we will find out. All I know is it's based upon a much earlier text and was bastardized by a member of the monarchy who was sleeping with children and men, um, and rewrote it in favor of God suggesting that we had kings in place to rule over us. If you want to believe that everything written in that book, with the full knowledge of why it was written in the way it was and why it was doctored in the way it has been, then that's your right, and I respect that. But I don't think what we should do now is argue over our beliefs and our differences of opinion. We have a common goal and we have a common enemy. And together, by uniting, we will get through this. And like I keep saying, it's going to be a bumpy ride. We're going to lose people along the way. But every day more people wake up. The army is getting bigger. And the love, which I believe is the message from the Bible. So, perhaps those people that adhere to everything that they believe and everything that they preach now need to preach and practice the most important message of them all, and that's love. It's the most powerful of all. It's the only thing people are willing really to fight and die for, and it's the one thing you can't buy. So I think that that's the advantage we have. There are people out there that have nefarious plans in place for us, but the one thing that they don't have is love, and love will conquer all, and we will beat these bastards. And I hope that I see that within my lifetime. Personally, I think by 2032 this is all going to be over. I'm going to continue to lose people along the way, and life might get a little bit harder, but we will pop out the other end because good always wins in the end. So I'm going to leave you all now with wishing you all the very best for 2026. Thank you so much to everybody that reads my books, because you are the people that pay me to finance you are the people that are financing my research by paying me through the sale of my books. Without you, I wouldn't have this channel. Without you, I wouldn't have half of the time to spend on getting information out there and digging deeper into these fake narratives that we're given. So it is you people that have bought my books, that continue to buy my books. You are helping me get this information out there, and for that I am truly grateful. For those of you that haven't read my books or can't afford them, I understand and I appreciate you too. I really do. And I hope that if you are in a situation where you aren't able to buy books and they're considered a luxury, I hope that your situation improves soon. I really do. And perhaps there may be something you're paying right now that you don't need to, that could enable you to have a much better quality of life. It may be that you've found a loophole somewhere. Perhaps you can get out of a credit card payment or a bank loan. There are ways. Perhaps you've decided you're no longer going to pay tax. Whatever it is you decide to do, I hope your situation improves if you're currently struggling to make ends meet. But thank you once again for subscribing. Thanks for sharing. Thanks for believing and following me. We've got a lot in store coming up this year. The trip to Paris, to the catacombs and the Eiffel Tower in February. Then a big meet up and a tour of the US in October, where I hope to meet as many of you as possible. We're going to be out there for a while doing a series of talks. And I've got a lot of talks planned and already booked in the UK and some in Europe as well, Holland, I think in particular. So I hope to get to meet some more of you. It's a wonderful feeling to be able to shake the hand or hug someone that my work has made a difference for. So love to you all. And sorry if this is a little bit rambly, but I absolutely detest monologues. I'm not very good at it. It's why I didn't record my own audio books. I'm just like, this is not my thing. I need a script to follow. And I need someone prompting me and asking me questions. I'm much better at being interviewed than I am doing this. But thank you once again. Love to you all. I hope 2026 brings you enlightenment, brings you truth, and understanding of your true potential. Together, we are going to smash this system apart. Peace.